Hello again, everybody. This is John with BestPriceNutrition.com. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about raspberry ketones, which were recently mentioned on the Dr. Oz show. For those of us in the industry, we've kind of heard of raspberry ketones for a while because they're in a lot of fat burner products. But when it got mentioned on Dr. Oz, we've had a lot of questions come in. So I got a list of them here. I'm going to run through them with you guys. Hopefully I can answer them all. Specifically, a lot of people are asking, what are raspberry ketones? Well, they're from raspberry fruit, hence the name raspberry ketones. And they're basically aromatic compounds, which means they contain at least one benzene ring, which is the chemistry side of it. They also have a pleasant smell to them, so that's something that indicates when you hear aromatic. That's you'll know when you read that. It's familiar for those of you who are familiar with citrus aurantium or bitter orange. There's an ingredient in there called synephrine. Raspberry ketones are similar to those. Also, chili peppers. There's an active compound in there called capsaicin, which kind of gives you that warm feeling. It's the same idea with raspberry ketones. They seem to have a similar mechanism of action. So the question is, how do they work? Well, what they do is they induce lipolysis. And lipolysis is the process of taking fat from its stored state and basically putting it out there for your body to use as energy. It takes triglycerides, breaks them down, makes them into a usable source of energy, so you can start burning fat for energy. As you all know, fat is a stored form of energy in the body. Also, there's a study that was done on rodents, and basically what they did in the study is for 10 weeks they gave them all a high-fat diet. Now, some of them were given raspberry ketones in addition to that. And the idea was to see if raspberry ketones can help stave off obesity. That was kind of the idea of it. But what they did find is that it actually helped with improving fatty liver, which is basically a condition where fat accumulates in the vacuoles of the liver. And it's a reversible process. Some people may know people who have fatty liver disease, but they found that the raspberry ketones were effective at that. They also found that the mice that were given the raspberry ketones, in addition to the high-fat diet, burned more fat. They got leaner. So that was really the promise of it. Outside of that, there's not really any research on humans. For those of you who've seen our videos before, we like to look for that. So when we talk about these, sometimes we don't mean to be dismissive, but there is promise here because there is some positive evidence, but it's on rodents. So what we'd like to see is some research on humans to further validate it. Now, that being said, raspberry ketones are not super expensive. So the promise of it may be enough for people to say, hey, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll roll dice. Like I said, it isn't a lot of fat burners. Based on the evidence, we'd recommend getting it in a fat burner as opposed to by itself. Reason being is because when you get it in a fat burner, you're also going to get it with caffeine, you're going to get green tea, you're going to get some other ingredients that we know help burn fat. The raspberry ketones in there can help kind of give you a more synergistic effect. Some products that include that would be Man Sport Scorch, Imperial Nutrition, Liposeer. Those are two fat burners that have it in there. There are many others. Those two have 125 milligrams and 100 milligrams of raspberry ketones, respectively. Some of the other fat burners out there have it in there, but it's in a proprietary blend, and so we don't really know exactly how much you're getting in there. BioNutrition raspberry ketones at 200 milligram dose. That one's the raspberry ketones by itself. That's one that's been selling a lot as a result of this. So basically our take is it looks promising. There is this study out here showing that it was effective on rodents. Hopefully in the future we see some study on humans to validate these effects. If you guys have any further questions on it, we're more than happy to answer them. You can post them in the comments section of the blog or the comments section of the video as well. Also, you can check us out at facebook.com/bestpricenutrition. Thank you.